Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. I am Bilal Abdul Kareem for On the Ground News. And today we are going to be talking about the issue of East Turkestan. Now, we're going to talk a lot about what's happening there in the coming days, particularly because this is the month of Ramadan. And we would like to know what is the situation with the people there in East Turkestan. We've heard a lot of rumors, we've heard a lot of things, but we need someone who can authenticate that. And we have with us as a guest here today, Saleh Hudaya, and he is the International Affairs Officer of the East Turkestan National Awakening Movement. And I'd like to say to you, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
We've got a lot of ground to cover, so let's jump right into it. Saleh, what is the situation like here in the month of Ramadan in East Turkestan for practicing Muslims? What's it like?
Well, the situation right now, it's very tragic. It's unseen. In the 21st century, there's nothing like this. Right now, you have at minimum, the most conservative numbers put it at 1 million Uyghur Muslims in concentration camps, or what the Chinese call political re-education centers. But researchers state that at least 40%, or the realistic numbers is that around 40% of the Uyghur population is currently in these concentration camps, which if you take it from the Chinese numbers, 40% of the Uyghur population out of 12 million, that would be around 4 to 5 million people, around 5 million people. Take it from the Uyghur numbers, which would put our population around 30 million, that would be like almost around 10, 12 million people, which is really a sad situation. But currently, Ramadan it's been banned for the past several years. Ramadan has been banned across Turkestan. Currently, millions of people are in these concentration camps where they are forced to denounce Islam. They are forced to denounce their Islamic identity. And on top of that, they are forced to worship like these communist idols like Marx, Mao, and to pray as God. And on top of that, they're also forced to drink alcohol and eat pork. This is the situation in East Turkestan for Muslims inside.
And this is in these re-education centers. Is this there, or is it for the general population?
This is for the re-education centers. For the general population, you have at least one Han Chinese male living with you in your home, and these are mostly homes without the males. Most of the inmates, or those that have been incarcerated into these political re-education centers, are Uyghur or other Turkic males. So it's the women that are left alone at home with the children, and to monitor them and to help them guide them to loyalty to the state, as the Chinese like to call it. They put in Han Chinese males to live with them, and disturbingly, they've posted videos of them even sleeping with them. You know, this is very shameful. This is a disgrace. This is an attack on our humanity, not just on our religion.
Okay, can I ask you, help the people to understand, what is a re-education center?
So a re-education center, as China likes to call it, essentially it's a concentration camp. It's where they brainwash you, where they brainwash you and they make you 18 hours a day, according to one of the former detainees, who was a Kazakh detainee, who later became released. According to him, for up to 18 hours a day, they force you to sing Chinese patriotic songs. They force you to memorize communist ideologies and quotes, the Chinese anthem. They force you to denounce your religion. They force you to denounce your ethnic identity. They force you to denounce your family, anything that has to do with you, and to pretty much praise the Chinese. On top of that, if you refuse or if you fail to memorize certain things, they will torture you. And if you refuse, they will feed you they will feed you pork, forcefully feed you pork, and make you drink alcohol. They're even when you're even when you're sleeping, they give you time to sleep around 6 hours a day. Even that, it's lights on with security guards everywhere, making sure that you're not able to move or anything. You're not doing anything or not. You're not communicating with anyone. Um, I mean, they beat you. There's also allegations of organ harvesting. A lot of people have actually died in these camps, and their bodies haven't been returned to their families. Disturbingly, the Hudson
Hmm.
Institute on May 4th, they did a talk on this issue, and one of the professors, Professor
Hmm.
Rian, who was in the region recently, said that the Chinese government is building hundreds of crematory facilities, and he said, "quote This is highly disturbing, given that in a majority Muslim region where they bury their dead, the fact that the Chinese are building hundreds of crematory facilities may hint that the Chinese government is going to solve its Uyghur problem through mass ethnic cleansing, and we are trying to prevent that."
Okay. Now, a lot of people probably ask a question that China is a world economic power. It's got more than a billion citizens. We would like to ask, what does China stand to gain? What are they after exactly in East Turkestan?
Well, first of all, East Turkestan is a very vast region. It accounts for one-fifth of China's actual territory, counting for 1,828,418 square kilometers. So that's about roughly one-fifth of
Mhm.
China's territory. On top of that, East Turkestan is a strategic region which has oil, natural gas, uranium, gold, silver, tungsten, uh, pretty much a lot of other like natural gas and rich energy sources. Furthermore, it borders 9 countries and is a gateway for China to export its goods. It sits in the heart of Asia. Uh, on the north, you have Russia. On the west, you have the former Soviet Union republics of current day Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan. So it's a very strategic region, not just only in terms of resources
Uh-huh.
and land, but also in terms of where it's strategically placed. So China does not want to
Now,
let it, because it's a
yes,
gateway.
now, we're hearing some shocking numbers from you. A million incarcerated, vast, widespread persecution. Why do you think we're not seeing more of an outcry in terms of condemnation, which is the first step, and then actually taking the steps to be able to ensure the safety of these people? Why do you think we're not seeing that?
Well, number one, the first reason is a lot of governments, including Muslim countries, including Turkish countries as well, neighboring countries, including Kazakhstan, who has a significant Kazakh population that are currently in concentration camps as well. The number one reason is China is their major economic uh, trading partner. So they do not want to risk an outcry to deal where the world is run by economics, as you know, and they don't want to cut any business ties because it will damage their economic output as well. Secondly, a lot of countries, uh, it's not that they don't know about the issue. They know very well about the issue. It's not in their interest at the moment. A lot of people, when they hear
Right.
about the term genocide, it's a very strong term, and they don't wanna like become pessimistic. They want to pretend that it doesn't exist when in reality it exists. It's been existing for the past 68 years since China has been colonizing the region.
Right.
Another reason is
I see.
lack of information, the lack of open information, lack of being able to even go into the region and get credible information. A lot of researchers that go there, or reporters that go there, are constantly harassed. Their cameras, their recording equipment, all their equipment is like either taken or wiped out or broken by Chinese officials there. And then in some cases, a lot of people there are too afraid to even speak out because even talking to a reporter or a foreigner can get you sentenced up to 15 to 20 years. in prison for revealing quote, state secrets.
I see. I see. Now, finally, I'd like to ask you, what do you think that the people, I'm saying the people who are watching right now, need to know about what's happening there that you think that they don't know, that would somehow stimulate some type of movement towards restraining the Chinese government? What do you think that the people need to know that they currently don't?
Although the media reports are talking about them building more concentration camps, unfortunately, the media is not talking about the fact that they're also building lots of crematory facilities. And that can only mean one thing in East Turkestan, where we normally bury our dead. I mean, in Islam, as everybody knows, we bury our dead. But the fact that the Chinese are building hundreds of crematory facilities, according to Professor Rian Thum, is a fact that signals that China is about to undertake a mass ethnic cleansing campaign, a mass genocide in the 21st century. And it's crucial upon every human being across the world, be they Muslim, non-Muslim, states, and individuals, to act immediately to prevent such thing from happening. Because ultimately, I mean, China sees it as there's no other option left for them to protect their interests, so they're just going to do what the Nazis did in the 1930s and undertake a genocide. And we saw how that affected humanity back in the 1930s and 40s, and we need to immediately prevent this from happening. In fact, there's a UN convention on the prevention and the crime of punishment of genocide that details what genocide is, and everything that's happening to the Uyghurs today fall under that category. It's as it was written for Uyghurs. So they have a responsibility to the international community, and all signatures, including China, have a responsibility to abide by that.
I know I said that was the last question, but I want to ask you one more thing. How could people get involved? How can people do more to aid the cause of the oppressed people there?
Well, the first thing that they can do is to start writing, to their local governments, their foreign affairs ministers, to their congressmen, senators, representatives, and ask them, to stop genocide in the 21st century, because we're in a period of humanity where it's very civilized, very advanced in a way, but yet we still have genocide occurring, and yet we still have governments and people and organizations still turning a blind eye to it. My organization, along with the Tom Lantos Foundation, we organized a demonstration for calling a campaign to shut down the concentration camps in East Turkestan in front of the U.S. Capitol on June 4th, calling on the United States Congress to initiate some type of legislation to help shut down the concentration camps and stop and prevent the mass genocide of the Uyghurs or any other people in the 21st century.
I see. I see. All right. Listen, unfortunately, I don't think that this crisis is going to be ending anytime soon. So hopefully you'll be willing to come back as things develop there. Just letting everybody know, we have been speaking with Mr. Saleh Hudayr, and he is the International Affairs Officer of the East Turkestan National Awakening Movement. And I want to thank you for coming on to our program to help us to understand this issue.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I am Bilal Abdul Kareem for OGN News. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.